So the government is going to lose.
Right? It has then allowed us to create this thing where we have to go and buy the asset itself, which is very expensive, right? But the prices are coming down. There's a lot of interesting innovation. So how do we find things? There's so much things that are coming to play that are exciting. We're doing it. We spend a lot of time on research on this area, and we're building technologies that can make it much more cheap and affordable. Where one of the key ones that we're excited about is called Palm AI, where we actually understand the different patterns of affordability for each of these customers and tailor the prices to affordability, right?
Is the Palm AI live in the market already?
Yeah. We use that for all our off-grid projects. So I'll give you an example. What we call off-grid projects. So there are communities out there in Nigeria, villages that we provide power to, right? They have 24-hour electricity and it's clean and there's no noise, right? Thousands of customers, right? Now, these customers, obviously, they pay as they use their meters for the electricity, right? And some days they can afford electricity, some days they can't afford electricity. So we said to them, instead of you turning off your power because you can't afford it at a certain time, how about we think about ways that we understand those affordability patterns and then introduce better tariffs that could make sure that you're a lower tariff that make sure you can afford the power instead of turning it off, right? So there's all these are all kind of smart systems that we put in place to make this happen. Obviously, it's a long way to go. There's like 85 million people. We're only doing the thousands, a couple of people, right? So a lot of investment.
But how many states are you operating now in Nigeria?
So we are currently in 3 states. So Osun State, Lagos, and Kano.
Okay.
But obviously, there's more people need us in other areas. We can only move as far as our investment can take. So as we're building more capacity, getting more investment.
So how is the access to capital been for you? I mean, your journey to fundraise for the energy sector, are investors as open to that?
This is interesting. So the key thing the investors look out is enabling environment, right? The technology is already there. It's not a technology problem.
It's proprietary to you.
We have some proprietary technology, but also technology that are open out there that people can get access to.
Okay.
Right? Technology is already there. The skill set is already there. Listen, there's great engineers in Nigeria. There's great engineers in Nigeria. It's not a skill set problem. It's not a technology problem, right? Although you need to build more capacity on the skill sets perspective. Now, the regulatory environment, obviously, being enabling is also very interesting. Now, let me give you an example, right? We complain a lot about the tariff that we pay for electricity, and it's becoming a very big conversation now because we've had the band A to band E coming. We've had different things where even with band A, and you probably kill me for this, right? But even with band A, we're not paying the true cost of power.
My estate cannot hear you say this because I saw another email 2 days ago of a review of tariff. So some people are spending as much as 1 million naira every month on consumption. I don't know, maybe some of them use just too many appliances, right? So I really think that it's just I mean, we're not used to paying for this kind of stuff, right? And it doesn't just seem to make sense why you have a band when everybody's a citizen of the country. Why do I have to pay more for everybody else with the same power? But I think what is the way forward? Because you talk about finding ways to drive down tariffs. For your users, have you achieved that already?
Oh yes, we have something we call dynamic tariffs, and this is specific users who want to kind of take up that activity. And we also work in a space that is that the regulation allows us to be more interested with how users pay for electricity, right? And specifically, we've done the research on why tariffs should not be fixed. Why tariff should change depending on the affordability criteria of the user.
And that is economical. Is a policy that is supported across different countries. Is it how you see it?
It's not. That's why. And you know the funniest thing, right? Is a lot of electricity is a very, very difficult topic. It's a very tough topic. And a lot of people look at it differently in different countries. There are some countries that there's only one electricity supplier for the whole of the country. And that company is probably owned by the government, right?
And in Europe, you might find those realities.
Actually, more in Africa, not in Europe, more in Africa. And a lot of the times, the challenge is the government is also the regulator in that space. So you're having it where they can't introduce some of these new ideas and new innovation because they're stuck in an old way, right?
But let's connect something. I think that I also know that we generate I'm not sure how many megawatts we now do, because that number keeps national grid will fall and get up. Okay, but I do know that almost 60% of what is generated is lost at the point of transmission. So even we're not optimized in our delivery system.
Yes.
And it boils down to leadership, right? From your own perspective, how can we get it right? Because if leadership and the political will is not structured in a way that can you're coming from an economy where you've lived in Britain, you've seen things. Britain has their own realities. We're back here in Nigeria where our own realities are avoidable. They're avoidable crisis, right? So you're just sitting down there and grid has fallen. Okay, what's happening now? You can go out to the road, no fuel for you that day. Everybody's locked up. You have to buy black market, and you're buying black market, and maybe somebody has put water, right? So you have a lot of all those other realities, but paint a picture of Africa for us and how we can get this leadership right in such a way that can truly bring out the potential of the continent.
So, most importantly, we really need to think long term.
Okay.
One of the biggest problems, not just in power, but in every industry in Nigeria, is the lack of long term thinking. All right? It affects us as an individual because we make a lot of decisions based on what can happen tomorrow.
And just a term of presidency. So the way we think about it.
No, it's not even in terms of
the 4-year political circle. Does it really?
It doesn't affect it because
really, because this is how they see it. That was 2023. We had election.
Yeah.
Right now, 2024, we just started enjoying. Now they're already planning for 2027. So next year is going to be disaster. Everybody's running. So we have 2 years to go.
2 years to govern, 2 years to implement.
Another 3 years to campaign.
Oh yeah, 2 years to campaign. Yeah, I get your point.
Still and stop money. So I really think this short-term thinking of the African leader or the African mind, it's everywhere. We're not planting trees for the next generation.
We're not doing that. That's our biggest problem. I think if I was to even restart a podcast, I'll call the podcast short-term thinking, and I'll put a cancel in it. Because that's the major, every problem you see in Nigeria right now is because of short-term thinking. I'll give you clear examples, right? And I'll drive it to the sector that I know the most, right? When you invest in infrastructure, right? Investment in infrastructure, power, roads, all these activities, you need long-term capital. You don't need to kind of try and get your return back in 1 week. When you want to get your return back in 1 month, you use substandard quality systems. Those things now start breaking after a year, and that whole investment goes in the bin. Then we start another campaign again, right? Same thing with how we kind of use our cars. Same thing with generators, right? When people go, this is a used generator, it's 200K. This is a new generator, it's 250K. Because you're so used to short-term thinking, you go, I'll go with the 200K. You might have the 50K extra in your pocket.
Yeah.
You might have it. You might not have it.
You pay more in the long term.
Or you pay more in the long term, right? So the short-term thinking affects everything that we do in our life. So that's the same thing we're facing in our industry. There's no long-term capital in the sector, or very few. All the distribution companies that are operating in Nigeria right now are in heavy debt. They can't invest in new assets in the infrastructure. They can't improve the network. So you need a whole different playbook of operation. You need to be more smarter. You need to use advanced technologies. You have to find cost-effective ways. You need to also look for long-term capital. Capital that is going to expect a return in 5 years, in 10 years.
Patient capital,
right? So I know it's not it's not there's no, you go and ask the bank right now to ask for money, get the interest rates you're gonna get. High double digit.
Yeah, I think we're getting there to 36, 37%.
Right? That's not patient capital, that's a killer capital.
It's killer capital, capital.
Exactly. So you need low capital to kind of get this asset up and running. And then when you have the traction, then you can start improving the network. So right now, the reason why you don't have 24-hour electricity is purely because it's hard to invest in network. And it's hard to invest in network because the tariffs are not true. They're still too low.
They're regulated.
They're still too low. The investors can't get enough.
And nobody wants to lose the election because if you make people pay what they're meant to pay, it's going to be, there'll be retribution.
Yes. Exactly.
That's crazy. That's super crazy. But just even thinking about this entire power game, as an entrepreneur, there are many other realities we grapple with. You're trying to figure out how to run a company. You have to figure out how to hire. But what has been your major challenge as an entrepreneur? In terms of talent, you mentioned that we have great engineers, but some entrepreneurs will tell you it's been a nightmare finding talent, right? So in a sense, running a company in 21st century Lagos comes with its own kettle of realities.
I would disagree.
Okay.
How you structure a company is important.
Good.
One of our biggest successes as a company in PAM is how we're structured. We're structured and optimized to have the least level of staff and the greatest impact.
So you least level of staff
Strength.
So in a sense, are you underemployed? I don't know what the word would be now, but maybe understaffed?
Not understaffed.
Optimally staffed,
Not understaffed. I think I prefer the word optimally staffed.
staffed.
Now, that means you have to automate a lot.
It's a lean model.
You have to work on a lean model. You have to automate a lot. The previous way of structuring a company doesn't work in this century because you know why? We have a new daddy in town, and the new daddy is technology.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the structure that they put in past was at the absence of technology.
So are you AI adopted? Like, are you using a lot of AI to transform or reduce your burn rates? How much of AI have you embraced with respect to?
I think in every individual or department in the company is heavily reliant on AI.
Do you feel bad that people are losing jobs and AI is doing it for you?
No, because you have to create more jobs.
Okay.
We create jobs by the work that we do. If more people get electricity, there's more jobs created. So we look at it from the impact perspective. Or internally,
operational.
You have to be more efficient. You also don't have much money to play around with. Right? You're dealing in an environment where there's no patient capital.
So what part of what departments in your company do you think you fully optimize in terms of HR, finance, administrative?